Welcome everyone to tonight's meeting of the Urban Planning Delegated Committee. My name is Councillor Jim Park and I chair this committee. The Local Government Act 2020 enables Council to hold virtual meetings with councillors participating remotely by electronic communication. The Urban Planning Delegated Committee meeting is being live streamed on the Council website to enable public viewing of the proceedings, including councillor deliberations and voting. The meeting is also being recorded and will be made available on the Council website soon after the meeting. Should technical problems be encountered by the committee, then the meeting will be adjourned until resolution. However, Council is not responsible for any technical difficulties that may be experienced by a member of the community in participating remotely in this meeting. Once the meeting commences, only limited assistance can be provided. I acknowledge that all councillors are present and on screen for tonight's meeting. There are also a number of officers in attendance tonight who will be introduced when they present reports. The purpose of the Urban Planning Delegated Committee is to deal with issues under the Planning and Environment Act and the Building Act. The committee has delegated authority to make decisions on behalf of Council. Councillors are familiar with the content of reports. Moving now to the order of business. Apologies, Ms. Ritchie, are there any apologies?
Through you, Chair, there are no apologies for tonight's meeting.
Thank you. Item 1, adoption and confirmation of the minutes of the meeting held on 6 September 2021. Councillor Thompson.
Happy to move the minutes, Chair.
Thank you, and that's seconded by Councillor Sinfield. I put that motion. Those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Item 2, declaration of conflict of interest of any councillor or council officer. Are there any declarations of conflict? There are not. So then I'll move to item 3.1, planning policy framework, and that's being presented by Mr. Christian Wilmson, Acting Coordinator of Strategic Planning. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you. In July 2018, the Victorian Government introduced a new planning policy framework into all Victorian planning schemes through Amendment VC 148. The new planning policy framework integrates state, regional and local policies in one place in the Boroondara planning scheme and with the aim of creating a stronger, better aligned and consistent policy framework that's easier to navigate. Translation of Council's current planning policies at clauses 21, which is the municipal strategic statement, and clause 22, which contains the local planning policies, into the new structure is required to complete the transition to the new PPF. The translation of existing policy is required to be policy neutral to maintain Council's policy position. While there's some opportunity to make changes to clarify intent and remove ambiguity without changing policy intent, there is no opportunity to include new planning policies into the translation. Officers have prepared a policy neutral translation of the new PPF based on a review of the existing LPPF. The review has ensured that critical content is retained and Council's policy positions on land use and development outcomes are not weakened. A copy of the draft PPF for your consideration is contained in the attachment of the report. Provisions consistent with the translation rules set by the Victorian Government have not been translated. This includes provisions which duplicate other content, either already existent elsewhere in policy or in state policy, or matters that are not controlled through planning, or items that are outdated. In preparing the draft PPF, officers have identified a number of issues as a result of the rules set by the Department of Environment, Water and Planning, and those are discussed in the report. They include the inability to translate planning permit application requirements, the inability to use the word require in the PPF translation and new clauses, and an inability to include definitions. This is most notably an issue with regards to the heritage grading definitions. Officers have worked to mitigate any potential impacts of these key issues by redrafting application requirements as strategies where, where the intended outcome is clear. With regards to the definitions in the attachment that is contained in the report at clause 15031, you will see that officers have included the definitions under the head that exist under the heritage policy for the gradings as a strategy. Ultimately, it will be the minister's decision as to whether he agrees to retain those grading definitions as they are in the draft in the report, or whether they will come out. Ultimately, officers believe that even if the definitions are not included in the PPE that is approved, that this will not weaken Council's policy position and ability to protect and identify places of heritage significance within the city of Boroondara. The department has given Council a deadline of Friday, the 1st of October, to submit its preferred version of the PPF. And this recommendation tonight is to endorse the version that's contained in the report and to submit that to the Minister for Planning for his consideration and approval. And I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Williamson. Councillors, are there any questions? Firstly, Councillor Watson and then Councillor Hollingsworth.
Thank you, Councillor Park. No question, but I'm happy to move a motion at the appropriate time.
Thank you. Councillor Hollingsworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a question, if I may, on page 6 of the report that then goes across onto page 7, where it refers to the municipal plan strategy. There's various dot points about what's to be included, which cover context, vision and strategy or strategic direction. My question is just for Mr. Wilson with regard to the vision. The comment there is to provide an overarching statement of intent which describes the type of municipality a council seeks to create, which I understand the context of why that's there. I wondered if it was possible to consider to retain and create, to recognise that obviously we have a highly valued heritage overlay protection within Boroondara. So there are areas that we do want to retain as are.
I just need you to focus on precisely what the question is so that Mr. Williamson's clear about what he's answering.
Okay, so the question is, would it be possible to include the word retain where feasible and create, or something to that effect? Because it goes on to talk about...
Okay, that's simple enough. Let's keep it simple. Mr. Williamson.
I might need to seek clarification there. So the vision that is written in there is not the vision that is in the actual policy document. The vision in the draft PPF that is contained at the attachment is based on the adopted Boroondara Community Plan. So the items that relate to land use and development outcomes from the Boroondara Community Plan vision have been translated into the draft PPF as you have in front of it. That's the adopted council vision for the municipality. So change to that would be inconsistent with the adopted position through that has been adopted through the Boroondara Community Plan. So I'm just trying to have a look at what the wording is there and how that addresses heritage matters already. So just bear with me for 1 second. So I'll just zoom in here. So at the moment, and this is on in the attachment that contains the PPF at 0.02, which is on page 4 of that attachment. It says the land development strategic objectives of the Boroondara Community Plan are a number of them, and dot point number 4 is to protect the heritage and respect the character of the city, to maintain amenity and livability whilst recognising the need for appropriate, well-designed development for future generations. So I would believe that the matter of heritage protection and identification is addressed through the vision as it has been adopted in the community plan, and that's translated into the
Thank you for clarifying. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? No? Then I'll return to Councillor Watson.
Thank you, Councillor Park. Happy to move the motion, which is the officer's recommendation.
Thank you, and that's seconded by Councillor Thompson. To assist Councillor Watson, is there any opposition at this juncture? I don't believe so. Councillor Watson.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to begin by thanking the officers for bringing this report forward and for the intelligent work that's gone into finding the right language that satisfies the government's objectives and also our own. Having looked at the report that was prepared for us and our consideration this evening, I again want to reiterate that I think that's an outstanding piece of work and urge my fellow councillors to support the motion before us this evening.
Thank you. Given that there's no opposition, I'll put that motion. Those in favour? That's carried unanimously. That takes us to item 4, general business. Are there any items of general business? No. Item 5, urgent business. Are there any items of urgent business? Item 6, confidential business. Are there any items of confidential business? No. Then I declare the meeting closed. Thank you for your attendance.